Hello, hello, everyone. Welcome to the Respect Podcast with your host, Jovi,
And Adam, the
and
Russell.
the Russells. So, guys, welcome to our very first episode. We are so excited to be here to just really talk about our journey. It's been long overdue. I have been wanting to do this for a while now, but it just wasn't the time back then. And we're just so excited to just open up really just the things we have learned in life these past almost 10 years that we have been dating. Just talk about our self-growth, talk about our growth in our marriage, and just everything in between. Just lessons, downloads, how God speaks through Adam, how God speaks through me, and the things that we're doing in life now. And really just if we can just bring any inspiration, a new perspective into your life. We're just here to share that story with you guys and just be open and vulnerable, and just to show you guys we are human just like you guys. We're not perfect. And yeah, you have anything to say, babe?
Yes, so we've been wanting to do this podcast for some time, but more so you've been wanting to do the podcast for some time. I know that I've been resistant to it, and we can talk about that later. Uh, but let's first talk about the purpose. What is the purpose of the Russpect Podcast? Why have you felt called to do a podcast, Jovi?
So I have been just really wanting to share really my journey, my healing journey these actually past 4 years, but just really connect with new people. I have been wanting to do a podcast myself, but there's just something that it doesn't feel fun to do it by myself, because I really truly do feel that where I really light up is in meaningful, deep conversations. And I feel for the longest, you and I have had these deep conversations on and on and on for the time that you and I have been dating. And I'm like, I want to share these conversations. Are these conversations happening in other relationships, not just people that are in relationship as a married couple or people that are together, but just in relationship with other people. And I have been wanting to do that. And, last year, the year before, I did do a podcast with my friend Angie. We did that for a little bit, but just our lives ended up going separate ways, not in a bad context or anything like that. Just life just happens, right? So you and I had a very big transformation back in June. And, just seeing what has happened since last year till now, I feel like we're on this vibe, we're on this frequency, we're understanding each other. And I really do feel now this is the time for us to share our insights, our vulnerability, because I truly do feel it can help other people in their journey, whatever perspective that we may share can help them. So I'm just really excited. Like my soul is so excited to do this with you, because not only how you hold the space for me and in the wisdom that I share, but I really do feel like you and your spirit has so much wisdom to share. And I know for a while you were like kind of like against it and didn't want to do it. And, I'll let you speak on that as well, into why you didn't want to share things online. But I know we're going to be very cautious here. But truly it's just to have deeper connections, share another perspective, share our journey, inspire others. Because I do find a lot of inspiration through you, but I also find inspiration through the people I connect with, the messages I receive online. It's really deep, it's really beautiful. I have gained so many beautiful relationships and connections, and I learned so much through people that I just felt like, okay, I want to do this podcast and I wanted you on board, but I know it was just taking a little bit for us to get here. And I feel like now you're like, okay, I'm on board. But talk us through why you felt like you didn't want to do this in the beginning.
Yeah, before I get into that, it's just so funny because I feel like this is how our relationship is. We have an idea, we have the
Hmm.
time, the energy, so we just do it.
Mhm.
We very much want to seize life as much as we can.
Mhm.
Uh, and this podcast is just another way of doing that. And we've, over the past few years, really been pouring ourselves into community work, into service, into helping people see what we see.
Mhm.
Not necessarily healing people, but providing them the environment to heal themselves.
Mhm.
And so this podcast is just going to be another way we do that, another flavor of the community service, if you will.
Mhm.
And sharing specifics and vulnerability. This is something I was talking about with my friend earlier today. There's
Mhm.
a big difference between, I'm really struggling right now
Mhm.
versus, hey, I'm struggling with setting boundaries on my family member because they're taking advantage and I feel this way.
Mhm.
The second way, when you share the specifics, when you get into the vulnerabilities, oh, I had a rough weekend versus I found out that a good friend of mine is sick with cancer,
Mhm.
and
Mhm.
like these are two totally different things. They
Mhm.
mean the same, but when you're able to share the specifics, when you're able to get into the vulnerability, really that's what brings the
Mhm.
connection with each other. And so, yeah, I've been resistant to sharing in like a podcast format. Uh, I've done a lot of in person and online small groups, and I've been comfortable sharing my stories and the parts of my life with people directly,
Mhm.
where there's kind of a feedback where I'm speaking with them, I can see how they react, we're able to go back and forth.
Mhm.
But with the podcast, it's kind of like just putting it out there into the ether, putting it out there into the world. There's no kind of instantaneous feedback. There's
Mhm.
no like it's just me and you, and we're
Yeah.
talking, but we're
Mhm.
talking to other people. And
Yeah.
so it's always been something that I've kind of been resistant to, but recently, I would say over the past year, past 2 years, anything that I find resistance to is something that I need to run towards instead of
Mm.
running away.
Mhm.
I find that if you run towards your resistance, magical things can happen. Um,
Yes.
I had what's coming to mind is another friend that I have, and I met this friend in a small group. And when this friend was sharing, he wasn't my friend before, uh,
Mhm.
but when he was sharing about uh, a specific drug addiction that he had.
Mm.
He was
Mhm.
addicted to crack, and he
Mm.
was overcoming his crack addiction. And I
Mhm.
had a prejudice towards people that were addicted to crack. Um,
Mhm.
and I felt like it was, I've had my own experiences with narcotics, but there's
Mm.
some that I consider worse than others. And
Yeah.
crack was one of them. And
Mhm.
so I found myself being very resistant when he was sharing in this group, and like judging him. And
Mm.
so I was like, you know what? Let me serve him. Let me
Mhm.
see how I can be of service to this
Mm.
person.
Mm.
And it turned into having to give this person rides to and from this small group and showing up more often in that person's life.
Mhm.
And what I found out was this person was a remarkable, beautiful person
Mhm.
that added so much value to my life. Uh,
Mhm.
in addition to, just going to the small groups with him,
Mhm.
we became friends and we were playing basketball together and we were doing a lot of things. And this was really a teaching to me like, hey, if you find yourself judging something, you're judging something in yourself. If
Yes.
you find yourself resistant to something, you're resistant to something in yourself.
Yep.
And so I'm resistant to the podcast. So let's do the podcast. Similar to my word for 2025. My word for 2025 came to me back in like October, November, humility.
Mm.
And as soon as that word came to me, I was like, ew, no, hell no. I don't want to be humbled. I'm going to take a lot of L's if I choose this word. But then as my reaction was like, oh, this has to be your word then. And so I'm excited and a little nervous for what it's going to bring me. But hey, let's do it. Why not?
Yeah, I really feel thank you for sharing that. I really do feel like how that word came to you, like that resistance was like similar to what like the ego will resist, like ew, no, everything has to be in this magical way. Like, we really have to be careful with the words that we choose. Because I remember the one year that you said that you did acceptance, and we can talk about that in a podcast episode, because I feel like you have so much to share when it comes to that. But we'll save that for another episode. But we are going to be challenged with the words that we choose, like our higher self is choosing that word. And I really do feel it's here to show you that it is possible. But the challenge is going to come from the personality, the ego, where it wants to protect you. So it's like, okay, we're playing this game. Are you really going to, like, my words for this year is expansion and legacy, and that's pretty big. And I'm like, oh, okay, like there's going to be some opportunities that may come, that are coming, because I'm calling it in. But it's going to be up to me to say yes to them too. And some of them are scary to my ego. Like, it will be like, I don't think I'm ready, maybe I need to speak more, maybe this, maybe that. Those thoughts are going to come in. And that's where the challenge comes. And it's like, are you stepping into your higher self and what your higher self is calling you to be? So thank you for sharing that. And I really do feel like even how you ended up changing the perspective about your friend, which is a friend of mine's too, that you were able to change that perspective, and look what ended up unfolding for you, and seeing the God within him too, because he would drop some gems and I'm like, what? Like, that's coming out, like, again, seeing that God within everybody else. So
Well, I
thank
mean, it
you
was
for,
really a reflection on myself,
it
not
was.
really, not
Yeah.
really anything about him.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I feel like that's true with everything.
Yeah.
I judge in another what I judge in myself.
For
So
sure.
if I feel that a certain action is unacceptable, that means that I don't accept a part of myself, or
Mhm.
something that I did, or if I do, would
For
be
sure.
unforgivable or unacceptable. And going back to the word of the year or the words, it's we're given so many examples in real life. If you want
Mhm.
to be stronger, your muscles don't just grow.
Yeah.
You got to go to the gym.
Mhm.
You got to go through the resistance of the gym and the hard work and the effort of the gym. There's a joke where it's like, if you ask God for patience, he's going to give you all red lights. You know,
Yo,
it's the
straight up.
opportunity to develop these
Mhm.
skills. It's the opportunity to develop these attributes.
Mhm.
You don't just get it. It doesn't just come into your life. That's not how
Mhm.
it works. You
Mhm.
get to practice. It becomes a practice. It becomes something that you're doing. And then over time, that muscle, whether it's your physical muscles or
Mhm.
whether it's your muscle of patience or your muscle of acceptance or your muscle of whatever it may be, gets stronger and stronger. The more you use it,
Mm.
you're not using it, you're not developing it. And
Exactly.
so, how are
Mhm.
you going to use patience? Well, you're going to need to be patient. You're going to have to wait. How do you use the muscle of acceptance? Well, there's going to be some things in your life that are unacceptable that you will then have to accept,
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
so, how is humility going to be for me this year? It's going to be fun. How is expansion going to be for you this year? Legacy going to be for you this year? It's going to be challenges. It's going to be painful. There's
Yeah.
going to be suffering involved. But
Yeah. Mhm.
coming out the other side of that is going to be so much better, so much stronger.
Oh my god. It's worth it. It's so worth it each time. So all right. So, let's talk. So, we're here. You said yes. I said yes. We're filming our first episode. So, let's talk about how Respect was born. Because we did talk about, like, hey, so last year, the end of last year, we were kind of like, all right, we're going to start a podcast. Let's see. We did record one episode last year. It wasn't to start a podcast, it was just really to talk about limitless living and the teachings that we were going to teach in limitless living. But when we did it, and after we got off just filming that thing, we said, actually, I think it's time for us to record a podcast and start a podcast. But we weren't ready yet. There was a lot of things going on last year, getting ready for limitless living, the holidays, just a lot of things were happening. So we're like, okay, let's put this for 2025. and we were going back and forth. We're like, oh, what is the name of the podcast going to be? And from what I remember, you and I were having a conversation, and we were talking about our charisma. We were talking about our character and how we are, and how I see you move and how you see me move, because we're always reflecting to one another, like what we see in each other, which I think is just so beautiful to have in a relationship. And we talked about respect. We were talking about how we respect not just ourselves, each other, and the people that we're in relationship to. That can be our coworkers, our bosses, acquaintances, restaurants that we go to, the waiter, the business owner. Our thing is respect at the end of the day, right? Like, we respect people where they are. We respect people as best as we can, right? That's like I really do feel that's like a character that we both do have. So, but anyways, we just had that conversation, and we were just like, okay, what are we gonna call? Are we gonna call it limitless living? Are we gonna call it this? Are we gonna call it that? We were saying all these different names. I don't know. Do you remember any of the names we were saying?
Well, I mean, most of the names were from you
Yeah.
because you're the one that comes up with creative names.
Ye-
Whereas I'm kind of plain Jane when it comes to the names that I do. Like when I did the loan forgiveness company, I named it the Loan Forgiveness Enrollment Center. Like just very plain,
You're very basic.
direct. This is what it is. If I had an ice cream store, it'd be called the ice cream store.
Wow. So creative of you. Hey, but there are a lot of people that have businesses that are very plain and is like very successful. I think all of us just have a different creative brain, but yeah, anyway, so I was coming up with different names, and he was like, whatever. So one day I'm on the computer
And
and
I'm in the shower.
he
And
go
I'm,
ahead.
showering, doing my normal routine, scrub. And the name Russpect came to me because, we're Russells and respect is like a cornerstone, like a foundational aspect of our relationship. And
Mm-hmm.
so I was like, Russpect. And I was like, ooh, that works. And we weren't even talking about the podcast at that point.
Mm-mm.
Like it wasn't like a conversation we were having before I showered.
Mm-hmm.
And so I got out of the shower and I opened the bedroom door and just looked at Jovi and I was like, respect. And I didn't even say podcast or anything. I just said respect. And she was like, and we were
I
like,
l-
yeah, that's it. It's gonna be respect.
I literally like lit up. Like, I was on my computer on the dining table, and he like literally opens and he's like, yo, respect. And I was like, what? Respect. I'm like, that's it. That's the podcast name, the
Come on.
Respect Podcast. And it's so crazy, guys, because I'm a Libra. So sometimes I need like more options, but then it's like, it's a great but a not so great trait to have at times, because I'm like, wait. I need another option or add another word in there. So I was playing around with respect, but then I was like, respect love, respect this, or I was just adding more names. And I got to a point that I was like, hi, Joey, you're gonna get so stuck on this name. Just leave it plain. The Respect Podcast. That's
And what's funny? So I work with business owners,
uh-huh.
like a lot. I do marketing and advertising, and I work with a lot of small business owners. And I tell Jovi this: the person that cares the most about the business name is the business owner. No one else
Mm-hmm.
cares. Like, the person that cares most about the logo of the company is the business owner.
Straight
It's
up.
got to look like this and look like that. Like no one cares.
Yeah.
What they care about is the quality of the content,
Yeah.
the quality of the product, the quality of the service. Do you provide a good job? I don't care what the name of your company is, unless it's an atrocious name.
Yeah.
Uh, if it's a bad name, then yeah, maybe you could run away some business that way.
But let's not take away, like, I love aesthetics, I love branding, I love telling a story. I just love that. Like, it brings me a lot of joy, to be honest. But at that point I was like, okay, you're getting too caught up in the name. Just stay with the Respect Podcast and we're good to go. So we started it. We found the name, then we got our assistant Shout out to Amanda for helping us with like the
AR.
graphics, AR. So we're very happy how everything just like turned out, and we're just like, all right, let's go, let's get started. We really don't have an agenda at the moment where we're like, hey, we're gonna do this every Sunday, or we're gonna do this. We're gonna play with the flow. We do have some episodes that we're already talking about that we're gonna record next, but we're just having some fun and just welcoming you guys to our world. And that's basically it. So we also do have our notes. So if you see us looking to the side or look, and I'm looking down, we're just making sure that we're on track on today's episode. So we talked about how the name came about. We talked about how Adam was a little bit resistant towards the podcast. But let's talk a little bit about what do we do? Like, what do we do right now in service to the collective? And yeah, take it away, Adam. What do you do for work, and how do you, because you do a lot.
Yeah,
So yeah.
yeah. It's always a fun question. What do you do?
What do you do?
Um,
Who are
Normally
you?
in America, we want to answer that question with our profession,
Mhm.
and that is generally how we establish our stature,
Mhm.
or how much am I going to respect this person?
Mhm.
What do you do? What kind of job do you have? Where do I place you in the hierarchy of my friends and acquaintances? And so that question is always a fun question.
Mhm.
And then you meet people that answer that question without talking about their profession. And you're like, wait, you didn't follow the right form. You're supposed to tell me what your job is. What do you do? Oh, I enjoy playing basketball. Yeah, yeah, yeah. But how do you make money? But
Who
we
are
kind
you? Who are you, Adam? I mean, we know who we are, as at a deeper level. But yeah,
So
I
let's
totally
get
get.
into the traditional answer of that question. So I
Mhm.
work at a marketing agency. I've been there for 7 years now. Love it.
Mhm.
I'm able to help small business owners get more phone calls. I'm able to help regular people put food on the table.
Mhm.
I'm able to help regular people put their kids through college by making them more money.
Mhm.
And I've always had a gift in terms of helping people make more money or
Mhm.
helping people save money.
Mhm.
Going back to the student loan forgiveness and the credit repair and the other things that I've done. So that's the 9 to 5, and that's where the monies come from. And
But
I
wait,
enjoy.
But wait, talk about also too, like, as being a director in this company, how you also help your employees. Because it's more
So
than that, you
I have
know?
my job duty, which is to increase sales. I have my job duty, which is to elevate the company, and
Mm-hmm.
I love doing that.
Mm-hmm.
But I have my purpose as a soul here on earth. I have my purpose as a healer of God,
Mm-hmm.
and really, I'm just to reflect God,
Mm-hmm.
to show people God through my actions, through my words, to be loving, to be like Jesus
Mm-hmm.
as much as I can in terms of loving other people, accepting other people, meeting them where they're at. And so that is my secondary purpose, but really my primary purpose at the job. And I really feel like I've been able to do that with my specific sales team that I manage.
Mm-hmm.
I've I've seen things at the company, like little changes. People say "I love you" at the end of meetings, and it's hilarious. Working in a corporate environment, and then everyone's at the end of the meeting. All right, love you. Have a great day. I love
I
you,
love it so much.
and it's beautiful. I have old employees, even people that I've had to fire, come to me months after and years after, and I still have relationships with them. And it really just kind of affirms what I'm doing there.
Mm-hmm.
I professionally, I take a lot of pride in my work, and I always want to be 10 times, 20 times more profitable to the company than what I cost them.
Mm-hmm.
And I feel like I'm doing that.
Mm-hmm.
But as my spiritual walk has progressed, it's more so like, how can I leave an impact on people?
Mm-hmm.
How can I help people find their own peace? How can I help people find the way to loving themselves without conditions?
Mm-hmm.
And that's really the two parts of what I do at work. And then I'm really active at the spiritual community that we're a part of, Heartway, uh, working with a lot of the men there, working in the men's ministry, leading men's retreats, facilitating at men's retreats. small group sessions like circles of trust, facilitating and leading that. And then we have our book club that we started a few years back.
Mm-hmm.
And it was funny. Me and my good friend Elena, we were reading or trying, we were taking the course in miracles, I should say, because it's not really a book you read, it's a course you take.
Mm-hmm.
And we were doing our own little book club, and then we were going to do the Gita, the Bhagavad Gita. And Jovi's like, I want to do that too. And so we were like, all right, cool. We're going to have our little 3-person book club, and we're going to read the Bhagavad Gita. And then more people joined. We had a
Mm-hmm.
couple people join us for
Mm-hmm.
that book club. And over the years, this book club has grown. I think there's like 25, 30 people in the chat now.
Yeah.
We've all taken our turns, Elena, you and I, leading the book club, doing different books, specifically like spiritual books and
Mm-hmm.
books on development.
Mm-hmm.
And then we were able to pass it off to Katina this last round. And Katina was one of the earliest members that joined, and now she's leading it. And
Mm-hmm.
it's just been beautiful to watch,
Mm-hmm.
not necessarily having to run the show, so to speak, but to get things started, and then develop other people that are willing to lead, willing to volunteer. And, that's what we're doing.
Mm-hmm.
And then me and you, over this past 6, 7 months, over this past year, really, with your sound baths at the beach
Mm-hmm.
and me helping you, we've started to work together more and more with Oh My Soul Vibes. And
Mm-hmm.
that's been a joy. That's been a joy, specifically the Limitless Living Retreat that we did in October. That was like better than I could have ever hoped,
Oh
better
my
than I
God.
could have ever prayed for.
Mm-hmm.
It was just so powerful.
Mm-hmm.
Like even during leading the retreat, I had takeaways and impacts and emotional breakthroughs, and it's just fun. And I've been really enjoying and loving working with you, and specifically in this kind of work,
Mm-hmm.
uh, like helping people
Yeah.
and being available for people
Mm-hmm.
and really connecting. And this has been something that I feel like you have your way of doing it, I
Mm-hmm.
have my way of doing it, and then we come together and it creates something even more. Uh, we're
Mm-hmm.
more than the sum of our parts. So
Oh yeah.
that's what I do. I also like to play basketball and soccer, long walks on the beach with my dog. I'm just kidding. But
I'm like, wait. When do you go long walks on the beach with Nala? I'm like, you go
long
for
walks in the neighborhood
in
with
the
Nala.
neighborhood, exactly.
You said the
um,
W, which is probably listening in the other room.
she's sleeping right
Yeah.
now. um, that's awesome. I'm just like, it's been such a blessing to just really see our evolution. Like just you speaking on it, like it just really like lights me up. And I just want to say to you, like, thank you. Like, thank you for doing the work and thank you for showing up now for the men. Because more than ever, we want to see our men rise as well, right? And you taking on that role, I admire you so much for that, because I do see how the men around you feel very loved by you, feel very inspired by you. Like you hold the space for these men, for them to be very vulnerable, and that's very beautiful, because you don't see that a lot, like quite honestly, like you just don't. And but I do have this big faith that it's going to continue expanding. We are doing the ripple effect of it, right? And it's just so nice to see that, because as I have transitioned from, guys, I've been doing bookkeeping, accounting work now for 17 years. I still can't believe that. I'm like, it sounds like I'm old. I'm only 37, but it's like when you say it out loud like that, I'm like 17 years doing accounting. I'm like, I don't know. For some reason, I feel like I'm 50 already, but I'm not. You know what I mean? Because it's just like, oh, I did this. I started this at a very young age. And these past 3 years is where I really stepped into helping and serving the collective and serving others to hold space in regards to any type of healing work that people need. Now, of course, I've been helping more women, but I do cater to men too. But I think just women are going to attract more women for some reason, and I'm okay with that too. But, starting All My Soul Vibes back in 2022, 2023, doing the sound baths. I do Reiki, which don't I won't say specifically it's just Reiki. I really feel like whatever it is that my spirit comes upon and helping the collective is just a little mixture of everything, guys. So, when it comes to the wording of energy healing, Reiki, divine energy healing, because you'll hear all these different words from me, you know, um, placing of the hands, laying of the hands, like everything, it's the same thing for me. It's the same however you want to word it and sounds good for you. There's no judgment here. I just know the intention of my heart. I know the intention of my spirit now, and being able to hold space for people and like let them process their emotions either through sound healing, through meditation, through Reiki, through doing a retreat. I've done retreats now a couple of times. Like, it's just beautiful to witness this energy that just really shifts within not just myself but others. So this is what I have been doing now the past 3 years. The end of Now that we're in 2025, I'm like, my brain is like, no, not last year, it was now the year before. The end of 2023, I really thought I was just going to stop helping like people with finance and bookkeeping work. And I was like, that's it. I'm done with finance work. I'm done with accounting. Like, I'm only
Spiritual
going to
now.
be, huh?
I'm spiritual now.
I'm
No more
spiritual.
spreadsheets.
I'm spiritual and I only do spiritual work. And God laughed at me. He's like, girl, like, calm down. And the beginning of 2024, God literally spoke to me, and God's like, no, you're going to continue helping the collective with this gift. You have a gift of organization, you have a gift of seeing numbers and working with numbers and understanding numbers and the structure of businesses. And I'm just like, wait, what? And then God tells me you're going to do that, but then you're going to bring the spiritual aspect, right? Because money is energy, and we'll have a whole different conversation about that. But what God revealed to me is you can coach people that are having, this scarcity mindset around money, but also not just work with their mindset. We're working with mindset, we're working with energy, and we're working with, I'm going to help you understand. We're going to go step by step depending on your case and where you are at with your finances, because all of us are in a different place when it comes to our finances. So I was able to say, you know what, okay, I'm going to do this workshop in March. And I was like, okay, it's going to be like 10 people like in our home, and only 2 people ended up signing up. But guess what? Those 2 people ended up signing up to be in my money mindset mentorship. And that's where everything was birthed. Like, literally, guys, God is always speaking to you. You just have to say yes, show up, start, do the project, and let God literally lead the way. Like, if it brings you spark, if it brings you that interest, just do it. And here we are now with the podcast. Like, we both got on the same page, and here we are, just showing up, and we don't know what we're saying, how we're saying it, and how it's going to inspire other people, but we're here, we're showing up, so yeah, that's what I've been able to do. And last year, Adam and I, like he said, we started working on the sound baths together, and that has brought us closer to, and just kind of like working together when we felt the calling to do limitless living. We sat together, we created the spreadsheets. Like, Adam, I love spreadsheets. Like, if you know me personally, you guys know that I love spreadsheet. I'm like a spreadsheet for everything. And Adam is great at spreadsheets too. So we're like, it's game, like it's game. And I really feel now, like when we started doing the retreat, like we were just so intentional. We were bringing energy to it each time. And let me tell you guys, like, that retreat, like, surpassed more than what my logical mind thought it was going to be. Like, you and I would look at each other, we're like, wait, what? Like, I'm just like, this is God. This is literally all God. Like, we're just showing up, and it was so profound. It was so beautiful. It brought me healing. It brought you healing. It brought the people that attended healing, and just all these connections. Like, I really feel like there's just this love that's emanating like out of you, out of me, and in this household, and just just really showing up from a soul level, and I think once you're there, like, I don't know, there's just not no turning back, and so that's a little bit about what we do. So I'm looking forward to seeing,
Yeah,
but
before we move on, I
yeah.
do want to mention something.
Yeah.
And you talked about like, well, first of all, thank you for the compliment earlier about me doing the working and showing up for men. And I
Mm-hmm.
think what we do in the work that uh, we do it in a way that's like normal. We don't need to be this like, because normally in these spaces you see people that are very like foo-foo, like and very like flowy, and they speak in ways that don't necessarily resonate with your regular person.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Um, you know, with men in spirituality, I've generally seen one of two ways. Either very, very like effeminate and very soft, or the exact opposite, where it's extreme hard and testosterone, and you gotta be a man and this and that.
Mm-hmm.
And like, cool, that there's spaces for that.
Mm-hmm.
But it's like, let's just be regular. We don't have to be so extreme in one area or the other. We
Mm-hmm.
can just show up. We're regular people.
Yeah.
Yes, I will sing worship music, and then we'll get down to some juvenile. You know, yeah, we are going to play basketball on Wednesdays, but at the same time, we're going to talk about the struggles that we're going through in our life, and
Mm-hmm.
we'll be able to hold space for each other as men playing basketball, but like when we're taking a little break on the side.
Yeah.
You know, this is
Mm-hmm.
just life. This is just normal things.
Mm-hmm.
And so I love the way in which we do it. We don't need to show up a certain way. I don't need to wear beads. I don't need to wear, a hat or a robe, or just wear a t-shirt and some jeans, and we can get real and raw and open up and have this connection,
Mm-hmm.
and
Mm-hmm.
really, go after what we want to go after and feel the love of God. And we
Mm-hmm.
don't need to do this in a way, doesn't need to look a certain way.
No. Mm-hmm.
Like that's the thing. We think, oh, it has to be a certain way. And it doesn't,
Mm-hmm.
you know, because that's not going to resonate with everyone.
No,
And so I hope this resonates with the people that are listening.
for sure. Thank you. Thank you for sharing that. I know that that was like something that happened for me in the beginning of my journey where I was like, oh, this is how spiritual people look, and, all this stuff. And now I have been able to just really embody how I want to embody myself, how I want to express myself, you know what I mean? And I know you were saying I don't wear the beads and all that stuff, but, even if you like the beads, that's okay. Like, I like my little, crystal little bracelets and all that stuff. I'm not the type of person who worships them, but if you do worship them, then cool too, like, but I do feel they carry a certain frequency and a freaking certain energy that comes from it, you know what I mean? So I think it's just all about just trusting where everybody is at, but I do agree with that, just showing up. This is just how my heart shows up. This is how my soul shows up, and not being attached to it has to look a specific way, but also understanding that we are human too, and we struggle too, and we have our stuff that we are moving through as well. We have
Mm.
moved, we are moving through, and etc. So all right, so let's talk about what's next. What do we want to talk about? We have like about maybe 5-10 minutes. I don't know if we want to go into like a little bit of how we met. We can start just a little bit, and then we can continue it on the next episode. How does
Yeah,
that
sure.
sound? Okay.
So you describe our first meeting, and then I'll describe our first meeting, because I think it's different in both of
It's
our
a,
minds.
it's a little different,
It's
and
a
I think
little
that's
different.
okay.
maybe it'll be better if I say it first.
If you say it first. Okay, so go ahead. Go ahead. Take it away.
So I was at Raw Sushi. Um, well, first off, I lived in this house.
Yes,
Uh,
I'm like, let's go back a
I,
little
I
bit.
was a roommate with a couple other guys, and we lived in this house. And the guys that lived in this house were part of a huge circle of friends. Like there was many circles of friends in this circle of friends. I would say there was probably 150 people total. And this house was kind of like a party house
Mm-hmm.
where every day there'd be, 10, 15 different people coming to the house. And when I moved in, they were all new people to me. And so we'd have parties and I'd meet people, and then there'd be a different party and there'd be different people.
Mm-hmm.
And so at one of these parties, we went to Raw Sushi,
Mm-hmm.
and we're at the sushi bar, and I see this pretty girl, and I'm like, "Ooh, I'm gonna go talk to her." And so I go up, I'm like, "Hey, I'm Adam," and she's like, "I know who you are. You've introduced yourself to me. This is the third time at a third party you've introduced yourself to me. Take my contact information. Here's my Facebook." And I was like, oh, "Okay, great." And that's how we met in my mind. You could describe the two previous times if you'd like.
It's so funny because like damn, we've gone so far because it was like Facebook was the jam back then, you know? So guys, this was about, I'm gonna say
12.
12 years ago,
Yeah.
probably like 12 years, 2024, 2023, 2024. I think that was the time that Adam, not 2023, you see,
2013,
2013,
2013.
2013. So you're looking at me, I'm
Yeah.
like, wait, what? 2013, 2014. So one of my friends had invited us to the house that Adam was living in with these guys, and it was our group of friends, the girls. And she was like, hey, I have a friend that's doing like a Super Bowl party, like, do you guys want to come? And we were like, yeah, let's go. So we went. I Adam had introduced himself then, and he was dating someone at that time, you know. And I was just like, oh, hi, like, nice to meet you. Nothing, just like, hi, nice to meet you, that's it. And there was a lot of people in that house. Then another time happens, and we went to go see a basketball game, a Heat game at the house that you were living in. And, you know, he was like, hi, I'm Adam. I'm like, oh, hi, blah, blah, blah. And then again, that, you know, again, separate ways. We didn't really talk more than that. You know, it was just like, hi, bye, okay, cool. So then comes somebody's birthday from, you know, we go out to Raw Sushi. I'm at the bar. Adam had approached me, and he was just like, hi, I'm Adam. And I was like, hey, so this is the third time you have introduced yourself to me. Like, I know who you are. And he's like, just my bad. There's just so many people go in and out of the house, you know? And I was like, no, you're cool. And at this time, I think you were already like broken up, like with your girlfriend at that time.
Hmm.
And I was like, you know what, just grab my Facebook and we can be friends on Facebook, you know? And you were like, all right, bet, you know, and that's how we, you know, became friends. And it's so crazy because I do have a picture from that night. Maybe I'll post it in one of the posts, you know, like when we do a little clip of this, I'll post a picture of us. Look, I'm getting fancy. Like, look how my brain is already processing.
Mira qué bien.
He's like, mira que bien. So that's how we basically met. We will go into our story in the next episode, how our friendship just started to develop, and, you know, and then how it got into us dating and etc. But I really think it's one of my favorite things about our relationship, the foundation of our friendship, because it's still so present. So we'll talk about that in our next episode and how all that was formed. But other than that, do you have any last thoughts? Anything that else you want to share before we get off and wrap this episode up?
Um, this was fun. Let's do it again.
Let's do it again. Yeah, guys. Every Sunday? No, I'm just kidding. We'll see when we'll record the next one. But thank you so much, guys, for tuning in. We really appreciate it. We hope that maybe something resonated here for you. We look forward to connecting with you all. Go ahead and leave a comment down below. Subscribe. Any
Tiene
questions?
forget to like and subscribe.
Don't forget to
And
like
then
and
have
subscribe.
the
The little ching, the little bell, the little
yeah,
bell. We'll get fancy eventually, we'll get all that going. But thank you for tuning in. Any questions? We'll probably do maybe one day a live Q&A with you guys too, if you guys have any questions in regards to us, our relationship, our services, anything, we're here. We really want to connect with you guys. That's one thing that we didn't really much share, but we have such a huge network of people in our life because Adam and I truly do the work in service to people in person. That's how we connect. That's why like we want to start online so we can start building out online too. But there's one thing I love is just connecting with people like physically. I just love that. It's like my jam and I know it's your jam too. But thank you again and we'll see you next time. Love you.
time. Bye. I
Bye.
love you.